Welcome back to Fox Sports News. It's great to have you with us. I'm Alyssa Smith. Well, the time for talk is now over as tonight Tim Tszyu and Bowyn Morgan climb inside the ring for what's now a world title eliminator for the grudge match between Paul Gallen and Mark Hunt. It will be settled as well. Joining us now in studio for all the build-up to those fights is boxing commentator Paul Upham. Paul, great to see you. How excited are you for tonight?
I'm so pumped for this, Alyssa. It's amazing. Boxing Day has come a little bit early this year. It's a packed card, 2 quality main events, stacked undercard, some real rising stars of Australian boxing, and it's the card you don't want to miss. And it's one of the reasons why it's one of the best-selling main event cards so far at this stage of the promotion. For
boxing fans and fans like yourself, it is like Christmas has come early. Tim Tszyu taking on Bowyn Morgan. Tim Tszyu is, being tipped as the one to win. How much pressure would he be under right now?
The best way I can explain it is if we sit here tomorrow and Tim Tszyu were to lose tonight, if he were to lose, people would automatically say, not like his father at all, just the name only, nothing, no substance whatsoever. I don't believe that's going to happen. I think Tim's going to win tonight. He's going to continue his progression towards a world title fight. But the pressure of the name that he carries around, I know he wants to proclaim himself as Tim, be away from his father. And that pressure must eat away at him and ride on him. But it drives him on. I think you see that dedication from him to the sport and improving. It's that Tszyu boxing name, and it's going to push him further towards bigger fights.
In saying that, his opponent, Bowyn Morgan, he might be a little less known to the Australian audience, and bookies don't have him as favourite. So how does he hurt Tszyu tonight?
Look, I think he's got to be aggressive from early on. Tim likes to control the ring, take his time early, get his punches established, work out his opponent. But no one's really backed him up and hurt him early and really taken the fight. If I was Bowyn Morgan, to have this one-off opportunity, and boxing is built on opportunity and redemption. The opportunity, if Bowyn wins tonight, he becomes the big name in Pacific boxing. He'll be demanding the world title fight. Money can't buy that opportunity in boxing. I always say the hardest thing is to get the fights. Bowyn's got the fight now. What can he do with it? To come out there, I think he should be aggressive, take the fight to Tim, because if you just box on the outside and not try and rough Tim up, Tim's just going to do what he normally does and just wear you down.
As we know, due to COVID-19, several fights have been affected, including tonight's fight as well, because tonight is a world title eliminator with the winner set to fight for a WBO World Super Welterweight title next year. Is Tim Tszyu now ready for a world title fight, do you think?
Look, I want to see more improvement tonight. Every time he has a training camp, Tim needs to get a little bit better. And over the last 2 years, I've seen so much more calm in him, and the seamless transition of his combination punching has improved. His fitness is unparalleled. His fitness is fantastic. Even as an early age, as a young kid, you see him there training and skipping. He always wanted to be better than his dad at skipping, and then he wanted to try and punch better than his dad. And there's a progression there. I think if he wins well tonight and looks good, yes, I think he's ready to fight Patrick Tszyu, whether he fights Tszyu, who can't get out of his country because of COVID at the moment and defend his title, or whether he fights for the vacant world title. The opportunity is there for Tim. But in boxing, the riddle is you must be perfect all of the time. He has to win tonight, otherwise Tim's just back in the pack.
Well, Tim did say that he'd like to move up to middleweight once he's won a world title at his current weight. Is that where you see him fighting?
Look, I think as he gets a little bit older, most boxers get a little bit bigger and they put a little bit more weight. Not many boxers stay at the one weight class their entire career. So I think, yes, eventually he will move to middleweight. I think he's comfortable now at super welterweight. He can win a world title if he's good enough. And then as he gets a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, he's got a little bit height advantage tonight on Bowyn Morgan. So I think that's a natural progression, yes.
It's crazy how much weight they can put on from weigh-in to the actual fight, isn't it? I want to talk about another fight because it's taking headlines as well. Paul Gallen against Mark Hunt. We saw them yesterday at the weigh-in. There was a bit of argy-bargy going on. How do you see this one playing out?
Look, it's really complex because Mark has been a fantastic combat fighter over many years, established his credentials around the world, great knockout artist, but he's not a boxer. Now, we saw a couple of years ago when Conor McGregor, the mixed martial arts great, came to boxing to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. Different sports, there's more cardio involved. But having said that, Paul Gallen is not Floyd Mayweather Jr. Yes, he's improved his skills significantly over his last 10 fights. I was a bit disappointed with his performance against Barry Hall, where they had the draw. I think Barry had a little bit of boxing skills there, and maybe Paul's preparation wasn't the best. He admitted that. But look, I think Paul can outwork Mark, but at any stage during the 6 rounds, I think Mark could knock Paul out. So is Paul's defence good enough to keep him out of that knockout punch range? I think it's a real pick and fight. I'm leaning towards Paul. I think he can win on points, but if he gets knocked out, it could happen any time.
There's a big difference in weight as well. It's like 24 kilos or something like that. There's always a little bit of scepticism as well within boxing when retired athletes from other sports step into the ring. But if Gallen wins this fight, does it show that he's actually a better boxer than a lot of people have given him credit for?
Look, I think he's made a good transition. It's not like he's had a couple of fights. He's had 10 fights now. And I've seen a dedication to Paul in the boxing. He's improved his skills significantly since he started. And you saw that with his rugby league career. He's the sort of guy who wants to learn. He wants to improve. He doesn't want to embarrass himself. And he's not going in there to lose just for pay tonight. He wants to win. And he knows that if he wants to get that big fight with Sonny Bill Williams or the rematch with Barry Hall or any other big fights, he must win tonight. It's the pressure of boxing. Must win all the time.
In saying that, I want to get your predictions on both fights, both of the main fights. So Tim Tszyu taking on Bowyn Morgan, who have you got?
I think Tim Tszyu wins by stoppage, sort of middle to late rounds, maybe 5, 6 towards 10. I think you'll just wear him down over a period of time. Paul Gallen, I think he wins on points. But having said that, I'm just a little bit nervous because Mark still has that knockout punch. He always will. He's got 127 kilos. That's a lot of power. Speed times mass equals power. And if he lands one on Paul's jaw, I think Paul will just have enough defensive skills to be able to keep Mark at bay and just outwork him over the 6 rounds. But it's going to be a thriller, and I think either guy can win, and that's what makes this a great fight. Main event, KO. We've got the early card from 5:30 Australian Daylight Time Eastern Time on Fox Sports 5:05. You'll see Luke Jackson, the Olympian captain, who's making a redemption comeback. So this is the fight card. You haven't bought a pay-per-view this year. This is the one to get.
And you know what? The undercard, as you mentioned on Fox Sports, it's going to be an absolute cracker. As you mentioned, Dara Foley was so just going for Tai Telford. It was insane. They really, really hate each other.
There was genuine passion there. On Monday at the press conference, I saw Paul Gallen was really getting into it as well, and he said he'd like to watch this fight now. There was a smash crab insult thrown in there at one stage. I think Dara feels he's a lot more experienced. He's been around a lot longer, the Irishman, and he's fought around the world. I think he feels a little bit disrespected by Ty's, the undefeated young rising star. But that's what you want to see in boxing, genuine passion. Both these guys are going to win, and you sort of think, I want to watch that fight straight away. And that's not put on. Those two guys really dislike each other. There's a disrespect there, and I cannot wait to see that fight.
Yeah, me too. Christmas has come early. Paul, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Lisa.